Good morning, guys. Today's video I'm going to take you through the June tour. I'm really just going to show you through where everything is up to in this whole vegetable garden. I've got some harvests to do and I've got some space to clear for more plantings. So yeah, well, let's make a start. Right, so these are the broad beans. They've done really well, like considering I sowed them in January. We started harvesting, what was it, end of May, and we've harvested sort of all through June. They've been brilliant. As you can see, they're yellowing. The pests have really got at them now. So yeah, it's time to take them out and plant something new. So I'm going to sort of do one final harvest of the pods, and then I'm going to be chopping off all the stalks up for the compost. And yeah, there we go. So that there is the final harvest. It's quite a lot actually, and there's a lot of processing involved. We'll need to depod them, boil them, and then take off the secondary pod so that we can freeze the green beans in like separate portions, ready to sort of add a protein boost to any dishes that you're doing. If you're like me and you've got two young, helpful children, you can get them to do the first step, which is get all the pods out. Right, so once you cut off all the stalks and taken your beans, you're left these little like stumps in the ground. Now, legumes are nitrogen fixing, so they basically take the nitrogen in the air and fix it in their root nodules. So if I can leave these in the ground, the root nodules, they'll decompose and release nitrogen back into the soil, which is great for whatever I plant next. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically snip these right below the soil. Right, how you get fruit? Ugh. Snip them right below the soil until I see where all of them start joining. And that's the bit that you really want to get out to stop it regrowing, while still leaving a lot of the root nodules in the soil. So I got that out. Oh, I got a few roots. But yeah, that won't regrow. And there's loads of roots then left in the soil to decompose and sort of increase the sort of fertility of the soil. So next on the tour was the cauliflower. Unfortunately, my mic didn't record sound when I was harvesting this, but here it is, all harvested, taking the outer leaves off. I can put this in the fridge and use it when I'm ready. They last for maybe just shy of a week sort of thing. Yeah, not as big as last year, but I think they didn't have as much space, and the compost that I put on was only maybe like a centimetre thick this year, so maybe the nutrients weren't quite there, but still got the harvest, and that's the main thing. Right, so here we have the beetroot, and the beetroot have been a bit of a failure really, considering how many plants I had. Even now they're still bolting, which is a massive shame. However, if we look very closely, there is still a large beetroot going. So it's a real mixed bag really, but I've got nowhere near the harvest compared to the number of plants that I planted. So I need to think about what I'm going to do next year. I think the main problem has been the extremely hot weather and these guys basically getting non-stop sun with almost zero shade. So I think bit of a shame. Can do better, and I definitely will be trying beetroot again next year. Right, so a massive success I've had is this pea arch. So this is a variety called alderman. Grows, I believe, up to 10 feet tall. Though we're not quite there yet, but absolute loads of pods, loads of flowers still as well. So the bees are still quite active in here. A few of the pods are sort of swelling up, but yeah, absolutely brilliant. And growing your own peas is great. You can eat them, raw straight out of the pod, or you can process them and freeze them and things. But yeah, massive success, and it's been really easy as well, which is great. Right, so here we have the sort of prolific Lola Rosa lettuce. Unfortunately, it is now bolting, but that's fine. I've had absolutely loads of harvests off it. And what I am going to try and do is maybe leave one plant in, or maybe two plants in, let them run to seed, and then collect the seed from them. Just because I'd really like to grow it again, and this was a sort of heirloom variety of plant, so I didn't get very many seeds. And I also need to pick some out because I've got a few parsnips started germinating down here, and I need to make room for them. Right, so in this bed I have my squashes. So I'm growing three sort of varieties. So I've got two butternut squash ones. Love making soups out of those in the sort of autumn. I've then got two baby bear pumpkins, which are also great for making soups. But also last year I made some like pumpkin muffins, and they were like the moistest, sort of just best muffins I've ever eaten. And then in the middle, just to add sort of a bit of color and things, I'm growing three sort of, up these bamboo canes, three evening sunflowers. So they're like a sort of multi-headed, sort of burgundy orange sunflower. So I'm hoping in sort of August, maybe September time, this bed will look amazing with the sort of tall sunflowers with the, the big bright heads, and then the sort of cascading squashes with all their fruit as well. So fingers crossed that's going to look really good. So this bed is doing great, and I've got a lot of really good variety in this bed. So I've got the red baron onions, which are getting really close to being ready for harvest. I reckon maybe end of July, I might be able to pull those up, start drying them. I've got some coriander here, which is doing really well. I probably need to start taking more pickings of this to keep it under control. But the leaves, most of the leaves are immaculate, so really good. I've got a small little bunch of chives here, which grew from seed. Chives are brilliant, and they're perennial. So hopefully next year I'll get those nice ball-shaped pink flowers, which add a bit of interest to the bed. I've got the sage in the corner there. I've got my Brussels sprout plants here, but I'm really not sure what's going on. The leaves are all curling up. I think maybe they're getting a bit hit by too much sun. I'm keeping an eye out for any caterpillars because that would be quite detrimental. And actually, as I say that, there's one right there. Oh, in the neighbour's garden. But yeah, not too bad. Webb's wonderful lettuce do really well, and I've got some lettuce starting to form the sort of head, the sort of heart there now. I've got carrots in here. The leeks are doing really well, especially now the turnips are out there. There was a row of turnips here that all began to bolt, but they've got some really nice leeks coming up. Carrots in the middle, and then some more leeks at the back. So yeah, this bed, really easy. Really impressed by this bed, and it looks great, which is the main thing. So this is the newest and biggest bed, and I only built this hoop house yesterday. It unfortunately, as I mentioned in the video that I made on how to build this, the netting's too small and thus it's all a bit too tight. So I'm getting lots of bowing on the hoops and things. But for now, it was fine because I really needed to get these sort of cabbages and kale in. Now, without the bird netting, wood pigeons and things like that I have here will just decimate these. They won't even give them a chance. So this netting here keeps the birds off, especially the big birds that will do all the damage. And it's great. And what I've got coming as well is seed potatoes, which are, you plant them in sort of July and you're harvesting potatoes in December, which is great around Christmas. But there is a bit more work to do on that. And I'm also going to try and get a row of carrots down the middle, just to sort of see while these plants are quite small, because the cabbages will get very big and take up a lot of room. So it looks quite sparse at the minute, but this bed will fill up in no time. Cool. So last bit of the tour, I'm just going to sort of show you what I've got growing under cover, and we'll also take a look at the infamous blueberry plants as well. In these three orange pots are my garden pearl tomatoes, and they're an outside variety that grows sort of like a small cherry-like tomato. And as you can see, I've got a few tomatoes coming on, absolute loads of flowers, absolute loads, and I mean loads of tomatoes as well starting to form as well, all different sizes. So yeah, really impressed with these, and it's been dead easy to grow. I think if you struggle with tomatoes, do try growing a sort of bush or a determinate variety, and you don't really have to do anything. They just sort of grow and do their thing. Right, so in here I'm growing different varieties of tomatoes and chilies, and this was a super sort of cheap and cheerful greenhouse. Maybe cost me, I think, £40 from either Lidl's or Aldi, and I'm actually getting really great results. So I'm really impressed with the sort of purchase, and I'm really enjoying growing the tomatoes and seeing them sort of come about and things. So I'm gonna maybe grab the phone. We'll do a bit of a zoom in, and I'll show you some of the sort of progress in June. Right, so first up is my Serrano chili pepper plant, and you can see I've got some chilies growing, which is really great news. So one little tip with growing these, if you get flowers like that, you can sort of increase your chances by kind of self-pollinating them. All I do is I just take my finger, just wiggle it in there, and then I move on to the next one, wiggle it in there, and that basically self-pollinates them. And that's what I've done for these. And yeah, sure enough, I've got actual chili peppers, which I wasn't sure I'd be able to grow. But this is quite a mild, cool chili, so I don't think it needs as hot a temperature. Next to it, however, is a habanero plant, which is just starting to get some little buds come up. But this needs very hot weather. It makes a very spicy chili. I don't think there's actually any flowers yet on this one, but we're getting there. So I'm going to move these pots out of the way so we can see the next plant. Oh. So next plant here is a tomato, San Marzano tomato, and it makes these plum-shaped tomatoes. And these are looking really good, like coming on. I'm keeping on top of the watering and things. So you've got one nice truss there. And I think there's another sort of truss starting up here as well, which is great. I've got another chili plant here, which I'll just move out so we can see it. I've not pinched this one out, so this one is very leggy, probably needs a bit of support, but this is long, slim cayenne chili pepper, so these are extremely hot. And I'm just gonna, while I'm here, just with the same finger as well as a note to add, just sort of pollinate that one a bit. So hopefully we get a chili out of that one at least. Yeah, moving on, I've got another San Marzano one there. And then over here behind these other chili plants, which aren't doing a great deal, I've got a 3 sort of black Russian beefsteak tomato plants. So these are supposed to grow very large, very fat, big beefsteak tomatoes. And I've got one good example here. So I have been growing grow bags with the string sort of buried in the base, and that's been working well. And I've been trying to keep on top of the side shooting and everything. But over here, if I pull this one to the forefront, you can see what looks like potentially a really good little beefsteak tomato coming on. So really excited to try those, and hopefully it all works out. But there are some really good tomatoes coming on, and generally like really impressed. It is quite a lot of work in determinate tomatoes. You do have to keep on top of the side shooting and things, which is quite difficult in such a cramped space. So hopefully I don't get blight, and yeah, hopefully we'll be okay. Now, over in the little greenhouse, I have got this tray of seedlings, which I'm just sort of getting ready to plant out. So at the back, I've got some choy-sum. I've then got some golden ball turnips, and I've got a few beetroot. And then, unfortunately, out of 15 trays, I've only had 2 red cabbages germinate. Really, a bit disappointed there. I don't know what's gone on. I have got some more seeds, so I can try again. But you do worry about like missing the boat with some of these things, so just got to be a bit vigilant and try and work out what's gone on there. So I thought I'd conclude this video at the blueberry bush, which continues to amaze me. There are some absolute massive sort of blueberries here. They're obviously all still green. It's going to be sort of late summer, sort of autumn time when they're ready for harvest, but super impressed as well. And fortunately as well, there's lots of new growth happening this time of year. So I'm going to make a video on propagating blueberries, and I'll probably end up giving away to sort of friends and family who might want to have their own blueberry bushes. But I'll go through a bit of a video on that as well. And end of the year as well, so maybe autumn time, I'm going to do the complete guide to growing blueberries as well, because it's absolutely super easy and you know, super prolific sort of harvesting. So you know, really good crop to grow. That concludes the sort of June tour of the garden, and you know, where we're up to with growing vegetables and everything. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you again for more gardening videos.